decision in a team fight, which would give the enemy team Baron. So I want to see RNG default more back to that side lane playstyle where they're pulling the enemy across the map, getting vision, and then looking for the setup for team fights. And yeah, just having a more cohesive early game will let you get to that point a lot more smoothly.
Well, we'll see if they are able to do it. RNG on the red with Rogue Warriors on the blue. We see the Lee Sin, the Lucian, the Akali, the Renekton, and the Viego all banned away. We are in Shanghai for both our series today, so we shouldn't be too far away. Even if this one does go the full distance, we should be able to keep you nice and updated as soon as it happens. And for RNG, on the red side, they have got options for counter pick. So of course, is something that we kind of see less and less of because the solo laners in 11.12 have just been so powerful. You just have to first pick them, like the set.
Exactly, and this was a clear standout for Rogue Warriors. We've already seen Forge play it 2 games. Haven't had the best of impact with the pick, but I think it'd be hard not to go for that one. We still have standouts like the Karma Open. The Rumble is still available as well, so I wouldn't be surprised to see RNG go towards picks like this, especially with them already locking in the Karma, but instead, we're going to see Wei bringing out the Xin. He actually hasn't pulled that one out yet.
First new pick for him in this series, as we see now the Karma Xin, and that could be a Karma mid. Is definitely something that we know Crying can build towards, and it does feel like it's something a little bit more in his wheelhouse, something a little bit more control mage style. You get that facilitator for your jungler, and of course for Xiaohu, should they want to try and chuck him onto something in that carry orientated in that top side.
Yeah, and I'm assuming RNG's thought process was, since they're taking the Karma, they don't need to go for the Rumble. Karma's Mantra E just doing exceptionally well against Rumble team comps, being able to avoid the damage, being able to just get out of there as fast as they can. But Rogue Warriors are smiling. They get the set and Rumble combo, something we've seen a ton of this split and how well it works out. Zhang Wuji getting onto the Ezreal as well, going to be able to play from afar. But now RNG are going to be drafting a bit more of Prio in that bottom lane, coming out with Varus. I'm really interested to see where RNG go with that Karma, like you were saying, because we've already seen Ming play it. We know if they do decide to flex it down into the bottom lane, which I assume it's going to depend on what Rogue Warriors pick 4-5, but I feel like a pick like that might work for Krine very well. When we've talked about how he's been trying to pick up these facilitators and he is much more of a control mage player, I mean, Karma checks both of those boxes.
Absolutely, and really will be curious to see where that Karma does go. Kiana being banned away by the side of RNG against Forge. Definitely an AD assassin-heavy mid laner in the side of Rogue Warriors, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the Jace ban as well. You know, you've got the set Rumble combination that we know how powerful and potent that duo is, and for RNG, it's all about limiting that kind of full-on engage. You know, you get in with, you know, the likes of a Showstopper on top of the Equalizer, and you go in with the to the skies on top of the hammer with the Jace. It just becomes a lot. But no, they're actually going to go for the Wukong instead.
It makes me wonder if they themselves would go for the Jace, right? Because they also have a comp that can very easily just slot into being a poke comp. Wukong being a champion that once you hit that level 6 mark, you do pretty well into that Jace matchup. You can find all-ins, especially with jungle pressure coming out from something along the lines of a Rumble. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Xiaohu go towards that one, especially with the fact that it was one of Xiaohu's primary picks up in Spring Split. But hey, Rogue Warriors spot that out and they take it away.
They're listening to us cast Lyric. They know what we know, but something that was very much into Xiaohu's wheelhouse was that Gnar, and picks it up here, gonna keep that Karma flex right up until the end. I do like this from the side of RNG. You're giving yourself something comfortable on the top side, something that Xiaohu has proven time and time again he can carry on.
And unless A917 is comfortable bringing out an Irelia pick, there's really nothing left open that's gonna do too well into the Gnar pick. You can pick the Camille, go for a 50-50 lane, and try to go for more of like a side laning aspect. It also combos quite well with the Rumble because you can lock them down with the Hextech Ultimatum, then bring Set in if needed, then drop the Equalizer. So a lot of different options, but Rogue Warriors instead might want to be trying to look to make Forge comfortable. We know Forge always more of an assassin or melee bruiser player than anything else.
And honestly, looking at the Rogue Warriors comp, this is just all jump in, delete a backline as quick as you possibly can. Leona, the Set, the LeBlanc, all jumping on top of what you would imagine will be an Equalizer, and Zhang Wuji firing off Mystic shots on the side. This is a lot of potential threat onto something like a Varus that has no escape outside of his flash. So be curious to see how they're able to work that during this first game. And for RNG, they might just lock in. Yep, they're going to lock in the Nautilus. This is pretty much the patented pick for Ming in Spring Split.
And, you know, RNG have gone with a pretty stock and standard 5v5 teamfight composition, right? It does extremely well in front to back. You have a great front line. You have an Enchanter there buffing up both Xin Zhao and Varus. We are going to get Crying on Karma, so getting the best of both worlds of wanting to be someone who's enabling the rest of his team this split, but also wanting to be on a control mage. So I like what RNG put together, especially when you look at Rogue Warriors comp, where both Rumble and LeBlanc, right? It's all about the burst damage coming in. You have the shield coming out from Karma. You have a very tanky team composition other than that Varus. So I think Forge is going to have quite a hard time of finding opportunities, and the Equalizer is going to be a bit difficult to lay down as well and have a meaningful impact. So a lot is going to be on Zhang Wuji's shoulders this game.
A lot on Zhang Wuji to land those Mystic shots. We know how powerful an Ezreal can be once he gets those 1-2 items, and then beyond that it just becomes insane, and as well as the tanky stats he gets from his build. Aside of Rogue Warriors, you have a lot of opportunities here. Like, you're able to get that set onto the backline, you're able to drop down the Equalizer. Yes, you have a lot of tanky stats, but killing the Varus is going to be absolutely king here, so I'm curious to see how Forge is able to pilot this LeBlanc pick in the mid lane.
Oh, I agree, right? Because when you look at RNG's comp, sure, it might be pretty good in that front to back, but if the side of Rogue Warriors can find flanks, if Forge can make his way around and you combo that with just a long-range Equalizer, I mean, Gala's just going to be dead, and then your composition doesn't really have much follow-up damage once your AD carry goes down.
Yeah, even going with the Summoner Airy into the Karma, so pretty much you could sometimes see the Comet, sometimes actually saw a couple of Dark Harvests a few times as well, but Summoner Airy generally means that you are going for that full kind of supportive build, able to get that extra shielding, just that little bit of extra safety for your carries. We are jumping onto the Rift, Rogue Warriors versus RNG, Game 1. It looks like there will be no shenanigans at the level 1.
Nope, neither team feeling comfortable, which I think makes a lot of sense. I think especially for RNG, you want as little volatility as possible, even though their level 1 should be stronger if they look for any kind of invade coming out with a Nautilus and Karma. So for Rogue Warriors, they're just going to start with standard starts as well. I think in terms of early laning, it should definitely be RNG favored in pretty much all 3 lanes. Karma has such a good time up against LeBlanc. You can push her under turret very early on just by focusing the wave. LeBlanc struggles at farming under turret for the first few levels. Gnar as well, if Set can't find a face breaker onto you, is a little bit of a trade going back and forth.
Shenanigans in the mid lane, but both mid laners just drop down their wards. They know exactly where all the vision is, in fact, for both sides, as we can see here. Just on the top side, it is going to be pretty Gnar favored for the first few levels, but, you know, once you get that Iron Spike Whip, you should have a pretty decent time of clearing the wave there for 8917, and the Set obviously has a lot more engage, or a lot more instant engage with that Flash Face Breaker. But
Look
we might
at
see
Wei,
level
though.
2. I love this from RNG. You wanted to see them have a slightly better early game. This could be it. Wei now going to jump in, going to at minimum burn the flash of 8917, but he flashes forward himself and jumps straight on top of it, and that's going to be a dead set up in the top side. First blood to Wei. Perfect start for RNG.
You really love to see it coming out from the side of RNG, right? You bring out the Xin Zhao. This is a champion that is so potent at level 2 ganks. That's pretty much like an elite level, like select few junglers that are able to pull that off. We haven't seen it utilized that well. He goes for it. And sure, maybe he's falling behind in terms of camps, but getting that flash up on top lane, getting Xiaohu in a good spot where he can now push in his wave, get the bounce back. That's what you want to see around a team that plays so heavily around their top laner.
Ooh, bot lane. We're going to see Chocho getting engaged on, but it's Ming. It's not call an ambulance, but not for me, as Chocho goes straight back in. They end up trading 1-for-1. Supports are both down. Both AD carries picking up a kill, but I would say Gala is the one with the push, and Gala's going to have a little bit more pressure than the Ezreal.
Yeah, Gala's still not going to be able to get that wave into turret right now. And we're just having a ton of action going on in all 3 lanes, right? 2v2 kills down in bot. Mids are both trading heavily. Both of them have actually already used all 3 of their potions, so wouldn't be surprised if we have to start seeing them look for backs sometime soon. And now we see Xiaohu going with the call, so going to go up to top side and just chill for now, knowing he has an easy lane. And we see Chocho being the one to go for the engage. We know Leona does have a bit of an easier time looking for these early on. But the 1-for-1, I feel like overall does favor Gala, because we know Varus, level 2, much stronger than the Ezreal, can just force him off the wave. We saw him playing in the minis as well, so Zhang Wuji can't look for those Mystic shots. But the fact that he couldn't get in the wave meant it wasn't really any real advantage towards the side of RNG.
Just the trade straight up, but I love the instant decision there from Chocho. Just knew he was hitting level 2, and straight away, as he's leveling up, he just goes in on the Zenith Blade, knows he has the Shield of Daybreak to be able to get there on the stun, and that is enough to be able to trade back those kills. And again, like you said, very even trade in that bot side. And looking at RNG, you mentioned you want to say a little bit of a better early game, but we'll have to wait and see. No, they should be fine here as Ice Coke just gets spotted out by this ward. He shouldn't be able to make anything happen in this bot side, but from the point of view of the draft and from what we've seen so far, is this kind of what you wanted to see, or is it still a little bit rocky for the side of RNG?
I think my big question will be answered once we come around the 8-minute mark when Herald spawns, because that's when we've been seeing RNG make a lot of misplays of sending too few members, starting up Herald. They lose that 3v3 on top side of the map where they're not playing around like their correct power spikes, and at the same time their bottom lane will be like dying 2v2. So not a lot able to happen early on, especially with the fact that Wei has picked the superior early dueling jungler. We know Ice Coke going to be much more about farming his camps, especially with the fact that Wei went for that level 2 gank and Ice Coke was able to get his camps cycling faster. We know those will come up first, but Wei now has a window to look for a gank, maybe go for his Krugs, and then after that you can see if you can try and get one over on 8917 once again.
Actually, just noticed that Wei has Hex Flash onto the Xin Zhao, so curious to see if he's able to utilize that one there, as he's looking to maybe get a gank, like you said, up into the top side or maybe even towards the mid. But feel like Ice Coke is very aware of this situation, or very well of this, aware of this development, and has put himself in that top side of the jungle. Is sneaking himself into that brush, but Wei will just run straight into him. He gets the overheat, so much damage, and Wei has no way out, no flash. Ice Coke with the solo kill.
And this is why we highlighted Ice Coke, because he's the member of Rogue Warriors who's going to look for these types of plays. I don't know what it is about Rogue Warriors junglers, but they always want to go for these aggressive duels. Nice job of managing his heat as well. He knew Wei was going to be on the top side of the map because of his pathing, right? Starting top side, starting red and going for that level 2 gank top. So realistically, his only camp that could be up would be Krugs. Overheated right when Xin Zhao walks in, has Flame Spitter going at the same time, and now we're going to see if Xiao will be punished too, because he has no flash. But the hop's enough.
Yeah, hop, skip, and a jump. He gets himself out, no problems whatsoever. 8917 was a little bit aggressive. Very difficult to make that one work without a flash face breaker. But speaking of making it work, they're going to look for maybe a dive in the spot side. You have Cry, you have a TP. It's a party. All 5 members of RNG are going to be joining in, and it looks like Rogue Warriors are just giving it up. They're saying survive as long as you can, but you will not be able to escape this one. Wei gets himself out. 2 kills going over to Gala. Perfectly done there by RNG.
And just really nice setup coming in overall, right? We see that Xiaohu had TP advantage over 8917 because of how the early lane went with the ganks. He wasn't really able to pressure up in his top side anyway because Ice Coke had just shown there. Crying is pretty much going to be able to have pressure anytime he wants in this mid lane matchup. They coordinate well to look for these kills onto Zhang Wuxi and Chocho.
See the replay coming in here, and it's straight away. They know that the Ice Coke was on the top side because of the kill that went down onto Wei, and they just full commit.
Yeah, and we see that they're doing the best they can to try and get away. Crying actually being the one to start off tanking the turret, and Xiaohu also doing a nice job of timing his Mega with when he is going to look for this TP down. And it was just easily executed for the side of RNG, and now Gala sitting at 3-0, already having that serrated Dirk as well.
And this is where we start to see the priority of the Varus really come into play right now, because he's getting ahead, and a lethality Varus with a bit of cooldown on the Ionian Boots of Lucidity is just such a oppressive thing to deal with in this lane, especially if you're someone who lacked a lot of innate wave clear like an Ezreal.
Yeah, so that matchup, which was already just favored for the side of RNG's bot lane, at least it should be, going to be even more so now. And then RNG using the tempo off their play on bot side, bringing Ming towards the mid, and they're going to be the ones to start up this Herald. It does look like Rogue Warriors don't want to give this one up for free, though, as we do see Chocho making his way up, but RNG are the ones who also priority top side, so they should have numbers advantage at first, and you would expect this to just be a Herald in favor of RNG.
Well, Ming threw out a hook there, seeing if he go up. There's the equalizer, but the shield, we talked about it in Champ Select, is just so damn good at mitigating all of this early damage. As we can see, 8917 flashes in because Mega Nard back out. They do drop him down. It's going to be Xiaohu flashing away, but he gets taken over by Ice Coke, who ends up getting him down with the Flame Spitter. They jump in. There's a showstopper, and Wei drops as well. Oh no, it's all gone terribly, terribly wrong for the side of RNG, but can they get kills? So many low health bars right now. Ming picks up one. They're going going to be able to pick up 2. They trade back a little bit here as Ming just dodges out.
Oh, Zhang Wuji!
There's a good one, but Zhang Wuji is not done. He wants to continue fighting. Oh, piercing arrow! It's all Gala. I've done this before. It's Gala. 1, 2, 3. Looking for a 40. Will have his piercing arrow in 2 seconds time. Does he look to try and get the kill onto Zhang Wuji? He won't be able to get it. It's an all-out brawl, and only the AD carries survive.
Gala coming up, taking all the kills. Almost able to finish off that last one as well. Zhang Wuji definitely doesn't want to look for that isolated 1v1. But still, we're seeing the same problems around Rift Herald that we highlighted earlier happen for RNG. And Rogue Warriors, they're here as well. So, Penguin, it looks like we're going to get some more skirmishing.
RNG, you need to wait. You need to calm down. You just got an extra 3 kills onto your Varus. He needs to go back and spend that gold. You can't just go for this fight again. As I say that, Wei jumps in on the Chocho. The equalizer's back up, and Wei is only done and killed himself. Realistically, they will trade back, or they won't actually. Excuse me. It's Ming who goes down. Now Ice Coke taking a lot of damage, but look at Gala. He can't join this fight. He's too low on mana. He's too low on health. And RNG, they're just throwing this away at Rift Herald.
And RNG just not respecting the cooldown of Equalizer. It is very short even early on in the game, and you can try to understand what RNG were trying to do, right? Because they'd push up in top side. We saw Gala pushing that one out. On the minimap, Xiaohu was actually pushing in mid, trying to force Forge to answer it. But at the same time, Forge can just ignore that wave, which is exactly what he does. Walks in towards the Rift Herald. And this is actually going to be the first one. And actually, like, the biggest problem with this play is something we didn't see on screen, which is where Ming had just thrown out his hook blind into brush. Because what you'd want to do is RNG here, since you do have numbers on Rift Herald first, once those members start peeking their head through and Set isn't here, you want to look for that engage. They're not able to look for that engage because Ming does not have his engage tool open. It allows for Rogue Warriors to just funnel all in with that equalizer, but by the time Gala gets up here, RNG were still able to do enough damage where he's able to put down the damage, find these kills, and I'm surprised Chocho and Zhang Wuji want to look for this. Forge is way too low to be able to participate. I definitely don't think in the isolated 2v2 they should feel like they win out. And then when you get into this 1v1, you can see Zhang Wuji realize, hey, I cannot go for this.
Yeah, and then they go rinse and repeat, but Gala hasn't gone back. Gala starts this with about half HP and about a third of his mana, so just
and you funnel to
really,
a choke.
Yeah, just funneled straight into a choke. Perfect place for a LeBlanc, a Set, and a Rumble to put you down. It ended up being the Rift Herald going over to the side of Rogue Warriors, but for RNG, they do get themselves the Dragons. That's going to be the Ocean Drake for them in their back pocket. But now, honestly, right now, if I'm looking at RNG, this is Varus. This is Gala game right now. You need to play around that, and you need to make sure that he is Mr. President, because he has gotten 6 kills, already gotten the Prowler's Claw, and he is just going to be so powerful for the foreseeable 10-15 minutes.
Yeah, it's a bit scary though, because we see Wei's pathing towards the top side. He does have Krugs up there. His Red's going to be up soon to where Ice Coke is on the bottom side of the map, and Ice Coke does have his equalizer.
He does have the equalizer. There is a Solar Flare available for Chocho, but does decides not to go for it this time of round. So we see Cryan and Forge. Forge now starting to get the better of this particular trade. They both have some chain CC, but Ford's definitely coming out on top of that one. And you can see just how defensive Cryan's going right now. He's got himself the Merc Treads. He's going towards that Bandle Glass Mirror as well. So definitely looking towards the full support of Karma mids that we've seen so much of, rather than the little bit of AP that you can go. So right now, it's not going to be a super fun time for him in that mid lane. And while that's been happening, speaking of mid lane, Rift Herald does get dropped, and that should be a couple of plates now, guaranteed for Forge and, of course, for Ice Coke. As they just get themselves out, a little bit of gold, back themselves away.
Yeah, and I think it's good that they do give this gold over to Forge, right? Because when we highlighted the members that should have the easiest time of taking Gala out from team fights, it is going to be both Forge and Ice Coke trying to combo, you know, LeBlanc distortioning in, using their ultimate to mimic, equalizer being dropped on top.
Wei, why are you there? You don't need to be there. Has to blow his ultimate just to keep himself alive. And it feels like it's moments like that are really just hampering RNG a little bit, just a little bit too much. He knows the Leona and the Rumble had just gone to the top side. He knows they're probably on his red buff. And he knows that the LeBlanc is priority at mid, so why would you bother going for that and waste your ultimate? Yes, it's a short enough cooldown, but just feels unnecessary.
Right, and it's time where you could have been trying to cross map. He could have tried walking down to his bot side, walking through the tri-brush, playing through his bot lane's priority, and trying to take away some camps from Ice Coke on the opposite side of the map. So these are some of those disconnects that we've been seeing more with RNG this split that we didn't really see last split, or at least see punished.
Definitely something for them to think about and to definitely rectify. Of course, just small little moments like that. It's 1 and 3 for Wei now, as we can see Cryan just trying to keep Forge honest in this mid lane. And we actually haven't had a look at the, you know, kind of the lane, or the top lane, I should say, in a very, very long time, because there's been so much action. But it is, in fact, the Gnar getting ahead of the set in terms of the CS, and pretty much what they want to see on the side of RNG. 0, 1, and 3. He's actually just finished up a Cole, so he's got himself his Stride Breaker now, so he has that extra little bit of distance, should be able to set himself up his team, and with 2 minutes until this Dragon, that's probably where we're going to see the next fight.
Yeah, and I think specifically talking about the top laners, right? Gnar should realistically never be able to go down in a straight-up 1v1 unless he wastes his hop kind of frivolously, because you're always going to have a chance where you know Set's going to be looking to face breaker you if you walk too close, or if you're trying to zone him off the wave, then he's going to look for that all-in trade. If you can just hop away, you are totally fine, especially with the fact that Xiaohu has flash up as well. So now Stride Breaker on top of that, I think he's going to feel completely fine in that isolated 1v1, but we are definitely looking down at the Dragon. 1 minute and 20 seconds until that, and it looks like they're prepped for that. Rogue Warriors want to try and get another kill up in top side.
There's a flash available for Xiaohu, so should be okay. Yep, we see the Face Breaker just miss, as we can see that combination with the Stride Breaker, so see now Gala just zoning away this bot side, and this is where it's really gonna hurt. This is where Rogue Warriors are really gonna feel it, because Gala is now 50 CS ahead of Zhong Wuji, and also the experience advantage and the amount of gold he has as well. It's just so difficult for Zhong Wuji to really be relevant in these fights. He's not gonna have his Divine Sunder before this Dragon, so I don't think Rogue Warriors are gonna feel comfortable to fight it.
No, and now RNG doing a good job. They push out bot wave. They're moving towards mid. They're going to get Prio Dragons up in 30 seconds. Even look at your minimap top side. Xiaohu's forcing 8917 under turret, so you should expect him to start hovering down as well. RNG have all the vision. Rogue Warriors not having any way to really find a flank or even try to walk in. But RNG
going for Rift.
Going to go for recalls. Yeah, both teams seem like they care more about Rift Herald than the second Dragon.
Yeah, this feels like a little bit of a misstep. You could just take this Dragon for free if you're on the side of RNG. Like, there is just no way in hell that anyone, you know, on bot side or mid can really deal with it. As we can see, True Shot Barrage just going to force Ming to reset his back. But again, this is the indecision. This is the small little things. They kind of move towards Rift Herald, and then they waste about 30-40 seconds, and then they go back towards Dragon. It's just get the stacking. The second Rift Herald is so overinflated, in my opinion, in terms of its value to teams, because you can't get plates with it, and you may or may not get a turret with it. It's just not that valuable.
My guess on what RNG was doing, because RNG have said in interviews, right, they don't have like a committed shot caller. It's all about like a lot of them giving information. And they even said in one of their past interviews that they've spent time like in-game kind of deciding among each other what is the right and wrong decision. So it looked like RNG hover mid there because they're thinking, we don't want to give up either. Like, sure, we can take Dragon right now, but we don't need to take Dragon. We can take Dragon anytime we want. We think we can make sure that Rogue Warriors can't get Rift Herald. We can go fight them for that and then swap on the opposite side. Seems like cooler heads prevailed in the end, where they realized, hey, we'd be walking into a place where we have no vision. They have their vision set up, and they can look for that combo with Forge maybe finding a decent flank angle, or 8917 able to come around. So in the end, they are just going to go back to that Dragon, but that's at least how I would speculate that, you know, those turn of events happened.
Yeah, it definitely felt like it was a little bit of a kind of a mixed call, and everyone could have gone for it. Speaking of going for it, Solar Flare does not land. The hook does, as does the Chain of Corruption, and they can just keep peppering him down. Chocho has to flash. Wei was over the side with the Raptors, but not able to get any kind of clip with his Q, therefore cannot continue on with that chase. But they do burn the flash out of Chocho and the heal out of Zhong Wuji, so nicely done there by the side of RNG, and they really want to try and take down this mid lane turret. And opening up this mid lane turret, just again, we talk about how every single time it's just so important. It just opens up the map, and specifically when you have got poke champions like a Varus and a Karma, it can just open up random opportunities, and not only will they get mid, but they'll also get top.
And I think another important aspect of that, is also how RNG's comp fights well into Rogue Warriors in those scenarios, to where you might look at things like Karma, Varus, Gnar, and be like, oh, this comp would also love to fight in chokes, it would love to fight in the jungle, but when you look at their comp compared to Rogue Warriors, I think RNG's comp does much better taking a fight in lanes, where you see everyone right in front of you. It's not as easy to land those perfect equalizers as we saw from Ice Coke earlier in the game. We saw Gala just able to walk out of it, and then you have champions like Karma, and then the fact that Varus is so far ahead, you're just going to feel great standing kind of with them right in front of you, just throwing out all that poke. It doesn't matter about Ezreal, doesn't matter about the LeBlanc. This Varus is so far accelerated.
He really is. Already picked up the Serpent's Fang as well, so very much going to be piercing the hearts of Rogue Warriors team with those piercing arrows. And it's all about how Rogue Warriors set up the fights. For RNG, they are the ones with a 3,000 gold lead. They are the ones in control with the dragons. They are the ones that have the tempo advantage as of right now, as well as the map advantage with all the towers they've taken. All the tier 1s are now down for the side of Rogue Warriors. So for Rogue Warriors, they need to try and find a catch, something like that from Ming, or, you know, a good front-to-back team fight in a choke like we saw around Rift Herald if they want to come back into this game.
I think another thing you want to see from Rogue Warriors, you know, barring right now because they are making this Herald play mid, but after this goes however it does, you want to see LeBlanc start being in a side lane, right?
Oh, here we go, TP. Flank from Xiaohu. He's going to be able to get the Marbar, but only down onto one. It's going to be Azanya straight away, the showstopper, to bring him back in on top of the rest of his team. Flash forward. There's going to be a Haymaker, but it's not going to be enough. It's a trade of 2 for 1 in favor of RNG, but it got a bit dicey there for them there. You can see the power that Rogue Warriors have in a front-to-back team fight, and Xiaohu did not get much of a purchase on his ultimate.
Yeah, and I mean, the big thing was, I think, RNG, you know, had flashes up. That's how they were able to play around those initial engages coming out from both Forge and 8917 so well. Crying then using the W to pretty much lock 8917 in place. Pretty much sealed his fate, so RNG able to take a lot of those kills in that fight. Well, at least one more kill than Rogue Warriors did, but
yeah.
We're going to go into a replay. Rogue Warriors look for this play. They ignore sides coming in. RNG looking to be the ones who are the aggressors. We see Xiaohu's only going to land a one-man ultimate, but at the same time, Chocho just gets instantly deleted way too far forward. We see 8917 try to answer, but RNG doing such a good job of creating space between them and the rest of Rogue Warriors, and even Wei doing a nice job of zoning out other members from Rogue Warriors from being able to jump in right. Forge should never have an angle if RNG are right in front of him where he can look for that big distortion play onto Gala. It needs to be coming from a flank. It needs to be coming from a place of getting tempo on sides, because you feel a lot more comfortable in a side lane rather than someone like a Karma moving first, getting your vision down, trying to make those sneaky brush plays around a neutral that we always see, you know, in front of Dragon and Baron, where you're waiting in that side entrance brush. So these are the types of plays we want to see Rogue Warriors utilize to get their comp advantage.
For RNG, though, that is a 3-item Gala at 21 minutes. That is insane. He is hyper accelerated. He's at light speed accelerated in this bot side, and we're still waiting for the Divine Sunderer to come out here for Zhong Wuji. But the positive thing here for Rogue Warriors is they are the first ones on the scene for this dragon. And it looks like the side of RNG just don't want to fight it. Again, these choke points are so difficult to go into. TP coming into the mid lane. That's just going to be Crying joining up with his team. But that dragon is gone, and this lack or slow tempo, as I say that, Chocho goes in. They're going to drop the equalizer down on top of the showstopper. No one's really kind of full committed to this. They're going to be the Ming going down, but RNG do trade it back. Support and a top laner for just a support. This feels like Rogue Warriors were kind of on two fronts about what they wanted to do, and now they lose out in the trade.
So the big thing was, RNG did a nice job of, like, they kind of baited Rogue Warriors into thinking they weren't doing the dragon, right? They were using the dragon as a bait to set up the fight that they knew they'd be able to take with bringing Xiaohu down through the bottom lane. Because we actually saw Zhong Wuji and Forge start to make their way back mid, because they thought RNG was going to be like, okay, you're taking dragon, we're going to start sieging down mid turret. So when the engage pops, as we're going to see on our screen, look at Zhong Wuji's position on the map. Zhong Wuji is nowhere close. All of RNG are already here. They're able to go for this, and sure, they are able to take down Ming right away. But you have 3 members who aren't even really able to get into the fight. And Equalizer already down for the Rumble. He's not able to offer much. Zhong Wuji can't just walk into 3 members of RNG, and Forge very much being in the same position. So RNG doing a nice job of setting up that dragon play.
Well, RNG Xiaohu now in a little bit of trouble. Does get the knockback. Nicely done there. Keeps himself safe. And this is the power of Gnar. He's an incredibly safe champion. And yes, he has to use his ultimate, but he'll have that up in the next minute or so, and it'll be ready for the next potential fight. So, nice little move there from him as we wait to see now what exactly RNG want to do. But I suppose the issue now for RNG is that the longer they kind of wait this, the longer they give for Zhongwu Ji, for Forge to pick up their second, third items. You actually have a demonic embrace here for Ice Coke, something we very rarely see for a Rumble in the jungle, because he knows that he just wants to try and do damage over time. He knows he wants to do that kind of burning down the shields from the Karma, and this is where it gets a little bit, you know, scary for RNG, because Rogue Warriors do get very strong as the longer this game goes on.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised that we're seeing that demonic embrace come out. You know, typically it would be a Zanya's second. Buy more time for a lot of those cooldowns to come out. You go in, drop your Equalizer, Flame Spitter. If you're in threat, Zanya's, you come out of Zanya's, Flame Spitter, your E, your W, they're all back up, and you get another rotation of damage down. But I'm not sure if Ice Coke's feeling pressured into having to be more of a damage dealer in the team, feeling like, hey, if I go for that Zanya's, I'm not going to be able to provide enough. We won't be able to delete someone like Gala, and then we aren't going to win regardless. That's the only thing I can really think of with this thought process going in with the demonic embrace.
Well, Xiaohu looking to see if he could maybe get a steal onto a red buff, but with a ward off to the side, he knows that he's been spotted out, and they are defending it very, very adamantly for Rogue Warriors. And Void Staff finished up for the Forge. He'll be burning out any kind of backline, and this is honestly right now, I think if you're Rogue Warriors, considering the start you had against the Varus specifically, you're not in a terrible situation. You've got 2 items pretty much across the board. The Locket's been finished up as well for Chocho, so he's able to mitigate a hell of a lot of that kind of, you know, initial burst damage that comes out. And for RNG, they are looking to just kind of keep Xiaohu in the side lane. They know he won't, as you mentioned earlier, he is no way, anyway, in any danger unless multiple people come down, and then they can look to try and make a fight happen around a different objective. So this game has slowed down quite dramatically. We are at 25 and a half minutes and 22 kills, so it's still a nice LPL amount of kills as such. Definitely not LCK levels just yet. And I think this next fight is probably going to be around this Dragon or this Baron.
Rogue Warriors getting control over the Baron area, so I think especially that Scuttle Crab is going to be quite nice for them, because an available play for RNG could have been having Xiaohu forced down in that bot side, started the Baron, try to bait out the TP from 8917, but now they're not going to be able to do that. Or I guess they still could. They you know, maybe they can have the confidence to say, hey, we're going to threaten to fight you, but Rogue Warriors are going to know what's going on. It gives them a chance to set up for a good angle to where they can actually force you to fight, and you aren't able to just peel off the Baron. So I think that was a nice little bit of time bought by the side of Rogue Warriors.
There's nothing really else to really do until there's 40 seconds to this Dragon, but even then, as I say,
Chocho doesn't agree with you, Penguin.
He does not agree with me, but the rest of his team does, as everyone just backs away and kind of says, Chocho, not today. We're not going on top of that, but 30 seconds until this Dragon spawns, and I feel like if you're Rogue Warriors, you're totally fine with giving this one up. It's not really that big of a deal if you end up kind of, you know, getting on a timer in 5 more minutes time, and gives you an opportunity to get your third item onto your LeBlanc. Oh, as I say that, Rogue Warriors, they were trying to fight this one. The choke is there. Chocho does end up falling, but now this Equalizer is doing very, very little. You can see with the Magi Soul Stealer there for Cryin, his shields are really starting to ramp up and really starting to mitigate a lot of that pressure.
And that was a big thing coming in when we saw the LeBlanc coming out, right? Is you're jumping into a composition that has a Karma. Other than that, it is 2 tanks and a bruiser in the Xin Zhao. It's going to be very hard to find any meaningful damage on anyone if Gala is positioning well. But I like your point that I feel like for now, for Rogue Warriors, they should just be finding CS on the map, trying to get to the next item break point, because that Frozen Heart will actually be massive for Zhongwu Ji, especially when all of the damage coming out from the side of RNG is AD.
You're looking purely at the Gala and, of course, Xiaohu as well, but not really a lot you can really deal with that once the armor starts stacking. So RNG, they will know they're on a little bit of a timer. And they should be able to, like, you've got 50 CS lead in the top lane, you have a 50 CS lead in the bot lane, 306 CS right now for Gala, so he is well above the 10 CS a minute curve that we usually look towards, and this is starting to just get a little stale, in my opinion, from the side of RNG. Yes, you got your Dragon Soul in 5 minutes time, but you know, the Cloud Soul, not the greatest in the world, not the most impactful in terms of what it will change for the game. And this is where it starts to get a little scary. Your Baron's also quite slow if you're on the side of RNG, so you can't really go for that kind of sneaky, cheeky play. Whereas I look on the side of Rogue Warriors, and if they know that RNG are committing to the Dragon or, say, another side of the map, they can burn down the Baron very, very quickly.
I think for the side of from RNG, it's made it hard. The fact that Forge is able to consistently keep up pressure in top lane, Krine will never be able to safely walk forward, especially with the build he's going for, right? If he just gets close to Forge, Forge should be able to just all in him and find that solo kill. So what I think RNG need to do is what they're doing now, to where you push out mid when LeBlanc is showing on a top wave. Realistically, I even feel like it's safer to start roaming Xiaohu up, get vision control of top side, then default back to controlling waves and start threatening out that Baron bait to get a TP advantage.
Speaking of getting an advantage, we're going to see the TP coming out here for the side of Rogue Warriors. It's going to be immediately caught by the Chain of Corruption, and that is going to be 8917 almost straight away deleted. Gala using these piercing arrows so beautifully. Another 2 kills goes to Gala, and now with the most of your engage gone, I think you can turn and burn for this Baron.
And yeah, that was just a bit unfortunate from 8917. He thinks that they've caught RNG. He's flanking coming from behind them. But with Xiaohu TPing in as well, they're not able to follow up. But Forge is going to try to make something happen. But Forge just gives his life.
Deleted. Ming able to get down the passive auto attack to root him down in place. Now, Ice Coke is there, has flash, has himself a smite, but has to use his flash straight away over the back end of this fight and use the blast cone as well to get himself back to safety. They are going to be able to take him down, though, and now they can turn their ideals to the side of the Ezreal. Zhang Wuji taken out and buried in the backyard of the river, as that's going to be the Baron taken now, and that is the go sign for RNG. They finally find themselves a big enough vantage.
And they finally have the confidence to try to walk into topside river. And we see Chocho thinking they can do this. I think especially with the fact that 8917's TP is coming in behind them. But look where Xiaohu's TP is channeling in. That zones the other members of Rogue Warriors from feeling safe to walk forward. And by the time any kind of fight can break out, 8917 is already deleted.
You can see just how beneficial that is, not just from the gold, it is 8,000 now, but also you have 15 stacks on the Karma's Magi Soul Stealer, so very, very efficient, able to put down a lot of damage as well as a lot of shielding, and we can see now RNG, they feel confident, they feel strong as they move forward, pushing out the side of Rogue Warriors from their own jungle and saying, no, all these camps are our camps. And I don't really see enough wave clear on the side of Rogue Warriors to really kind of, deal with these minion waves. They have to go for a fight, and you can see now Gala is the target, but there's just so much shielding onto him that there's just not really much you can get onto him. Now they can see the re-engage going in on top of it. They get the tower, they get the Leona, they get the Rumble, they get everything, and Rogue Warriors are scrambling. They just don't know what they want to do. They just don't know if they can do anything, and RNG will keep pressing on. They will look to take down this inhibitor turret. They look to take down the inhibitor, and hell, they might even look for the game.
I mean, when you're 8k gold behind, Rogue Warriors really don't have any options at this point, and RNG is doing such a good job of pushing forward, knowing that they're stronger, forcing these fights to come out. And with the fact that Forge is being distracted by Wei, RNG can just end.
They can just end. They use the TP there just to get the Karma back into the fight, but 8917, as soon as he goes in, ends up dying straight away, and you can see Forge trying his very, very best, but it's just not enough. In 32 minutes, it will be the win for Game 1 of this best-of-3 series, going over to RNG. They will pad their stats. They will get a hell of a lot more kills. 15-0-6 for Gala, as he put out a hell of a performance on this Varus.
Yeah, really nice to see from RNG. We saw some creative things coming out, especially that level 2 getting top was really nice to see coming out from Wei. We did see their Rift Herald struggles come out in the mid game, which have shown almost every series they've played so far, but they were able to bounce back well. They were able to start finding fights and doing that protect the president style that you were hitting on that you wanted to see come out from RNG. And then once we got into these fights where Rogue Warriors were in front of RNG, I mean, that's where RNG's comp thrives, and RNG knew that. RNG played around it so well. Even when they weren't finding the best flanks with Xiao, it really didn't matter. The damage coming out from the Varus was insane. LeBlanc not able to find those flanks. You're able to easily get out of the equalizer with the Mantra E, and Rogue Warriors weren't able to find any way back into the game. They did try. I think it was nice how they were using pressure topside with Forge to try to bait them into contesting River and trying to find that LeBlanc Rumble play that they'd found earlier on. But once we got to that point in the mid game, RNG were too disciplined and they didn't fall for it.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing there, is a discipline that come out. Still want to see a better, as you say, early/mid game. That 8-minute mark seems to be the curse of the Rift Herald for the side of RNG, and really didn't do them any favors going into that mid game. And I want to see them do a little bit better, clean up that. But again, we talked about it quite a few times, the fatigue coming in. They've been playing almost constantly since December, so it is a rough season when you're at the top and everyone wants to try and beat you. But a first win in this series is definitely a good way to kind of move forward. And for Rogue Warriors, there was a lot of positives there. I think Forge and LeBlanc looked decent enough, but they just weren't able to get any kind of solidified kills just because of the karma and the shielding.
I think this was like bittersweet, because I even think you could argue that this is maybe more positive for Rogue Warriors than it is RNG, because like, okay, Rogue Warriors putting up a competitive game, was very back and forth. Gold was like swinging either way. I mean, realistically, Rogue Warriors can take game 2. I don't think RNG are heavy favorites after what we saw in game 1. And for RNG, it's like, okay, right, you just lost to LNG, a team that is coming up very strong, still undefeated. You went down to OMG, who are surprisingly better than they were in spring. They might be contesting for an upper middle tier team, but Rogue Warriors is supposed to be your relief. This is supposed to be the team you come in, you start building that confidence back up against, because they haven't picked up a win yet either. They have a lot of new players coming in. They have a lot of players who've struggled in the LPL in past splits. And sure, it was a 32-minute win. A win is a win, but I think for a team that just won LPL and went to MSI, like, we should expect more from them. I assume they expect more from themselves as well, as, you know, right, you're always your own biggest critic. So hopefully next time around RNG can put up a bit more of a decisive game 2. It is nice so that we see them diversifying their champion pools a little bit. Kryne bringing out the Karma, Wei pulling out the Zin's out, which he hasn't played yet this split, and then just putting Xiaohu back on an old favorite.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing. You are, not only did you go to MSI and win spring, you won MSI. You beat Damwon, the LCK champions, in the final, and that's the big thing there. We expect a lot more, and I suppose it's a similar story to like some of our other teams, where when they do lose or when they do not look convincing, we tend to be an awful lot harsher on them. But we'll have to see how they're able to make that happen in game 2, or if Rogue Warriors can send us to a game 3. We're going to throw it to a break though, and when we return, pick bands will be right around the corner.